Hey, this is Tracy Lewis with Stuff and Things with another Winter is Coming Wednesday. We are now on episode 5. Today is Hurricane Day. Idalia landed, and we're on the East Coast side, so we were nowhere near it, but we have had squalls, rain, lots of wind, and there's palm fronds everywhere. So it has been an indoor day, and it's been overcast most of the day. If any of you were in the path of Idalia, I pray that everybody is safe and nobody was hurt, and that any damage that was done to any of your property or belongings is the least amount possible. So, in episode 5, I plan on building up a card that starts with these two deer. We're going to do Regal Reindeer another week. And I've colored them with colored pencils. I did pecan pie, basic gray, real red, which does end up looking like Poppy Parade. It's of all of the colors, I think it's the only one that really I think is quite off from the color it's supposed to be. Garden green. I think that's it. And then a very light, I did a very soft gray with I think I did a little bit, I can see a mix of pecan pie, and the basic gray is very faint as I could. And I did take a blender pen. Normally I haven't been blending with any wet medium with the watercolor pencils. I just use them dry, but in fact the neck and head is dry, his head is wet, so I just did a little bit to try to give them more shading, and then I took a very light amount of color along the antlers, as light as I could. So taking these two, I also had the bunny from last time. I did create 2 sets of trees. I've taken the garden green and I just put the green wherever I saw little dashed lines that were a hint of the pine color from underneath, to just give it a little bit of color to tie in with my mat that I'm going to use. So I also used the new snowflake the new snowflake embossing folder, which is called Snowflake Sky 3D. I have already added this tree on the right, the snowbanks. Both of these are die cuts in Regal Reindeer. Here is the mat. I've made the mat wider than I normally would because I think I'm going to go in with a very thin sliver of gold foil using strips. I then have my left side tree that, depending on, I'm tempted to have the top of this tree and the outside of this tree go off onto the garden green. I already had this tree go off to the right, but not up top. I then have already popped up my reindeer. This reindeer is greeting his bunny rabbit friend, and this reindeer is just hanging out. So now let's talk about the sentiment. There isn't a blend, a garden green blend, so there isn't a good match. So I went ahead and did it old school. I pulled out my garden green Stampin' Up marker that I've had forever, and I took the check, and with the silicone mat underneath, I went ahead and colored this. I think either side, I only did it on one side to let it dry. I will warn you, if you are used to using blends, that when you use the water-based dye Stampin' Right. They will get on your fingers. My fingers are nice and green. So be very careful. Let it dry completely. You could use a heat tool. I did not, but that would be a good trick. And I wanted to show what I think is a very nice way to make this style of ribbon, which I know for most folks, they just take one piece, make it long. Maybe this is like 8 inches, 8 to 9 inches total. They cut it and then they fold it and attach it to the back. But let's say you only have one set of this and you need to make 60 cards. So I just wanted to share that you can only use little bits of this trim and really stretch it if you want to. Just, you know, with 3 equal length or almost equal length strips, you can use either glue and let it dry, or you can use dots. These little dimensionals are leftover paper pumpkin dimensionals. That is another way, if you get paper pumpkin either periodically or every month, you can save up any of your extra supplies to use for making seasonal cards. So this particular little label, I wanted to go right up here. And you could, there's a couple of ideas I have for embellishing. I have the new sequins that are sparkly. So if I wanted to go sparkly, I could do white sparkles, the small sequins, 3 up. I could do rustic. I've used rustic dots on the last deer, and I have that still floating around here somewhere. You could go with black or white. You could even do something in gold if you wanted. If you have any other tidbits for saving on quantities of embellishments or trim, go ahead and pop them on the comments here on this video, and I will post them for everybody to use. It's always good to help out everybody with all of the ways that we can stretch our materials further, especially if you're like me and you end up making lots of Christmas cards. And Thanksgiving, I need to work on Thanksgiving cards. So that's all I've got. Please do all the YouTube things, like, share, comment, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching.